Okay, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm going to do another cooking tutorial today. What I'm going to try to make is sauerkraut balls. Now, I didn't realize how rare this thing was because they've always been really readily available around here year round, and I always have it on the holidays. We have it with, you're supposed to have a little sauerkraut in the new year for good luck or something. Well, anyways, so I'm looking on YouTube. There's not one recipe that I could find on how to make them. I can't find them in the stores anywhere. I never really realized that it was just regional to Ohio until I looked it up online. And it seems that I think it's got to be German or origin with the sauerkraut and everything. But so I went online. I got all these recipes, and there's no two are alike. A lot of them use sausage, and I don't remember sausage in it. I know there's meat in it, but sausage just does not seem right. So basically there's two schools of thought, though. There's one that combines like a Worcestershire sauce, onion, kraut, and ham. And some have ham and corned beef, which is what I'm going to try. And then there's this whole other one. Lots of people use cream cheese with mustard and breadcrumbs and stuff. This seems really foreign. The cream cheese, that doesn't seem like the kind that I remember, but I'm going to try it anyway. It seems like it might be kind of good. And then the other school is either Worcestershire or bullion. And I don't know if I have any beef bullion, so I went ahead and we're going to use Worcestershire. But it's kind of the same principle, like a tangy, beef. And I do remember it being kind of have a tang to it. But also, of course, the sauerkraut is tangy. So these recipes are like to make tons of them too, like 50 balls or something. I'm not making anywhere near that. I got a little bit of meat and sauerkraut and stuff. So I'm going to weed through all these recipes. I've got about 10 different recipes here, and I'm going to just come up with a basic Worcestershire with onion. And this one is cooked also. And this one is not cooked. Both are refrigerated afterwards. So I'm going to go through and just kind of, figure it out like 2 parts onion to 1 part, like that. Get a basic recipe for this combine all these together, and a basic recipe for that. And we're going to give it a go. And we're going to see how they turn out. It's up in the air. I have no idea. So I'll check back in a little bit when I get my recipes down and I start making the combinations to refrigerate. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back with the great sauerkraut ball experiment. Boy, this stuff stinks, this sauerkraut. I have never... Oh, it makes you almost not want to eat it because it really has a horrible smell. It's rancid cabbage, I guess. So that's why, who would ever think to eat that? Where did this even come from, I wonder? So, what I've done... How I remember the meat being like real, like almost tiny little juliennes. So I did it like that. So I'm going to do, and that was the ham. I have ham and ham. I'm going to just eyeball half this up, corned beef, and I'm going to throw the half corned beef in this for that concoction, and the other half in here. Okay, I'm going to do the cream cheese one first because it doesn't require any cooking. We're just going to mix it all together and then throw it in the fridge. So I kind of, like I said, I've condensed these recipes down the best I can, and let's see what we can do with it. Okay, so it says in one bowl, we're going to put the ham, well, in this case is ham with the other stuff I just told you about, corned beef, the onions. Here's my onion. I'm just going to half and half it. There's something in here. Get that out of there. Okay, so about half for each thing. So ham, onion. 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs, which is different. And I'm just using this. I'm not using a, measuring spoon. We're going to roll with plain old serving spoon things. Okay, so that's one bowl. And then in the second bowl, we're going to put cream cheese, 3 ounces. So, yeah, that's the thing. I'm not too sure on that. This is 8 ounces, and it's already been, some of it's out. So I'm going to just grab a couple good... 8 ounces, roughly, 1/3 of it would be 3 ounces or a little less than that. I'm going to do one more. So what I just did 3 large spoons like this, right in there. Parsley, a couple tablespoons of parsley. I'm just going to give it some sprinkle, parsley flakes. I don't have fresh, so I'm just going to sprinkle in some parsley flakes like that. Little bit. garlic powder. Of course, I like my granulated garlic. This you can get at like restaurant supplies. So I'm gonna that much, and a teaspoon of mustard. So I'm just gonna do a squirt of mustard. That's about a teaspoonish. Okay, so I'm gonna use a fork to get this kind of, because you want to get that cream cheese. You know, you got to get in there with and break that cream cheese up. All right, so I'm gonna do that with a fork. Oh wait, sauerkraut. Where's the ham, sauerkraut, and onion? I think that's too much. I think that's too much sauerkraut. I halved that bag up, and in both cases, maybe it's just because it smells so bad. Yeah, I think that might be too much. So I don't know that I don't think I'm going to use all of it. I'm going to put some in. That just seems like it's too much. Yeah, I remember the sauerkraut balls having quite a bit of meat in them, and you know, not this. So I used about half that bowl so far. So right now we're at about a fourth of a bag. And even these measurements on these on these websites, you know, it's just like a can of ham. Well, what size can? It doesn't really say. And you know, after I did this, I found out, yeah, definitely, I might have even used too much here. Boy, this stuff really does smell horrible. Not appetizing in any way. It smells bad. Okay, so this is it, and then we're gonna just, this is the ham, well, the meat, let's say the meat, the sauerkraut, onion, and 2 tablespoons of breadcrumb. Okay, and then here we have cream cheese, parsley, garlic powder, mustard. So let's just get it all in there. Now the cream cheese seems very foreign. It doesn't seem right to me at all. Okay, so now we're gonna mix this all together real good. And then it's going to be refrigerated. Both have the same end result, where you just form them into balls and you bread them like a normal breading, you know, egg, milk, breadcrumbs, and then you either deep fry or bake. I'm going to bake them for sure. You know, we always, even, you know, they used to be able to find these everywhere. You know, you'd find them and they would be in a little tin with a cardboard thing on them where you could get them like fresh at delis. And like I said, for 2 years I have not been able to find them. So this is what we're left with here. Ugh. So I want to make sure we get a nice mix on these, get them well coated. Okay, so this is where we're at with the cream cheese one. I think it's pretty good mixed well, and I'm going to refrigerate it for a couple hours, and then we're going to come back and bread all these. I'm going to move on to the second type, which we're going to have to go to the stove and brown the onions. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're over at the stove, and we're going to start making our second version. Now it just said brown and butter, so I'm just going to grab a little butter, throw it in that pan. It didn't really say how much I used. That's not even a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon maybe. You know, probably maybe more healthy would be olive oil or something, but I'm going to stick to the original recipes and see what we come up with. So we're going to get get that butter melting. This is the other, you know, this is probably rough, equivalent to a medium onion. We'll get our mainly ham with a little corned beef in, browning in the butter. Crank that up. Meantime, I did have a little beef bouillon, a granulated beef bouillon. I've done this same roux, a couple teaspoons of flour, little beef bouillon. Get that all mixed in too, because that's part of it. There's flour, water, and beef stock was the thing, but I think, and some said beef bouillon, so we're going to go with that. Next we have, in the bowl, we're going to combine sauerkraut with a little flour, parsley, and Worcestershire sauce while this is browning. Okay, so I'm going to get on that, and we'll check back in a minute. Okay, so we've got these, this ham and onion and everything is all kind of, and then it says add some garlic powder. Of course, I'm going to use my granulated garlic, give it a nice little sprinkle. Probably used about a teaspoon there. And then I've prepared over here my sauerkraut coated with flour, and you know, maybe 5-6 good shakes of some Worcestershire so it gets a little color on it, and that's going in the pan too. And then after that, it says add all this beef broth and bullion and stuff. So I just made this roux, you know, with and flour. We're going to put some of that in there. I don't know that I'm going to use all of this. Yeah, that seems more about right. This whole thing was about 2/3 of a cup, so now it's down to less than that. So I probably use about a half a cup. Half a cup of water with some flour, bullion. And it says stir this around in the pan until it gets like a paste. It's pretty pasty already. You know, this looks more like what I remember. I remember the insides of it being pretty much kind of brown, you know. But again, we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna just you know, stir this around a little, get it nice and combined. Then it says let cool, and then also refrigerate. So okay, we've got our bullion-based kind, and we've got our cream cheese-based kind. They're both going in the fridge, and we'll check back when we're ready to roll the balls. We'll be back in a bit. Okay, so it's been a while, and I've got the cream cheese one is definitely, you know, nice and solid because it's got the cream cheese in it, obviously. So I'm just using a regular, you know, type of teaspoon that you would have to stir your tea or coffee. I'm gonna give it a roll, just I guess just like making a meatball. And then I'm gonna do them all in flour. And then I'm gonna do some variations on the breadcrumbing too. So I'm like getting this nice coated in flour, and then I'm gonna set it on the thing over here, because I think that it doesn't. None of the recipes specify whether it's, you know, seasoned breadcrumbs or plain. So I think I'm gonna do variation on that as well, because I'm so into this panko now. I'm gonna do one with plain breadcrumb and one with seasoned panko. Okay, so here's my cream cheese. I'm going to go through and roll all these up, and then we're going to do the egg and breadcrumbs all together as well. So I'll check back in a little bit. Alright, so I did finish all the cream cheese ones, and now we're going to go on to these this type. Now I could see how the cream cheese kind of helped it hold together, but look, this is kind of holding together as well, because there's flour and stuff in there. And it's not not quite, it is a little bit different. A little bit kind of mushy. It might be a little more difficult to make into a ball. Yeah, it's kind of falling apart. So maybe that, there, it's doable. There's a nice one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again. You just got to get that flour right on there right away, because the flour's kind of getting in with that liquidy, leftover liquidy, pasty stuff. Kind of getting it more solid. Okay. These are not as good. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on. We're going to do all the regular beef juice-based kind. And then we're going to go on to the breading. I'll tune back in then. Okay, I'm back, and I've got the, these are the cream cheese ones. And I'll tell you, just from a rolling aspect, that worked out so much better. What I'm going to do some in plain breadcrumbs. And then I'm going to do some with seasoned panko. What I've gotten here is 1 egg and some milk. So I'm going to get that all nice and mixed up. I seem to recall, I would say that they are not seasoned, but that seasoned panko and such is just so good. So I'm going to go with that. Now I'm also going to, put them on a baking sheet. I'm baking them. You know, there's different variations. Some say bake, some say fry. We're going to go with baking, absolutely, because it's more healthy, I would say. So I guess I'll just use like a spoon, kind of roll it around in the spoon in there, get it into our breadcrumb, get a nice coating of breadcrumb all over it. If we can see this, let me just get the camera a little more. I'm just in the breadcrumbs, like so, and then I'm going to put it on my parchment covered tray. So I'll do 1 panko on camera also. So give it a roll around in the egg milk wash. Get a nice coating of egg. I guess put it on the fork, we'll drain it. And I mean, I'm totally winging this. I've never made these. I've never done anything like this. I've breaded meat, but not like this. Into the panko. Get some nice coating of panko all over it. Give it a roll around, like that. Okay, and I'm going to put that on the other side of the tray. So what I'm going to end up doing here is half the tray, you know, panko, and half the tray regular breadcrumbs. All right, so I'm going to just continue on with the cream cheese ones, and we'll come back and do the other beef-based ones in a minute. Back in a bit. Okay, so the cream cheese ones went really well. Here's the whole tray. So I'm going to put these in a 350-degree oven until golden brown, and I'm going to come back and do the other beef-based one. Okay, so now we have our beef-based ones, which were not too hot to roll. They were kind of a little difficult, so hopefully they're going to hold up through this process. We're going to do the same thing, half a tray of each. I'm going to get a nice egg wash on this thing. Drain it on the fork. Get little globulars hanging. And then over here, we're going to put it in our... I have panko in front of me because that's where I left off. So this time I'm going to do all the pankos first, and then we'll do the plain breadcrumbs too. So I'm going to do half a tray of panko, half a tray of regular plain breadcrumb, and then we're going to put them in the oven too. Some of the recipes say deep fry, but I think baking is probably better. And we're going to do a final taste test when we get them all out of the oven, and we'll see which recipe is the best. Alright, so here we have our finished sauerkraut balls. These were the beef-based ones, and this was the cream cheese ones. The cream cheese ones, ugh, I thought they were terrible. I made 2 of each, and I didn't even... This would be how they... Here's what I did. I like browned them some of the way, and they say you could freeze them. And then I threw them in the toaster oven, so this is what it would look like, completely browned all the way. I didn't even eat the second one because I didn't even eat the first one. It was really gross. So I get a big thumbs down to the cream cheese one, but a big thumbs up. I mean, and these were very close to the kind that I remember. I'm going to bag these up, you know, a couple, 2 or 3 in a pack and freeze them. These were excellent, and panko and regular breadcrumb made no difference in the taste whatsoever. It was just a texture thing. So if you like it more crunchy, go with the panko. If you like it less crunchy, go with the plain breadcrumbs. But clear, hands down winner, the beef juice with the bullion and the Worcestershire sauce and cooked everything. This is the one. These I find inedible. I might throw them out to the birds, and they might not even want to eat them. Okay, so now there is a recipe to make sauerkraut balls on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.